Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to set up your Paragon points to maximize your damage in Diablo Immortal, and be sure to get the important skills from the Gladiator skill tree. Now, this will require 235 Paragon points. But first, this may seem kinda obvious, but I would like to make sure that everyone is aware that these round skill nodes here, such as armor penetration, life, damage, those are all active from the time that you put a point into them until whenever. It doesn't matter which one of these Paragon skill trees you have active, the round stat nodes always apply to your character. Activating a particular skill tree will only have to do with the square skill nodes. Those are the active skills for that tree. So, since the main focus of this game is, or one of the main focuses of this game is the Cycle of Strife, which involves PvP, the skills from Gladiator are invaluable. This also applies to Battlegrounds, which can kind of be considered a practice for the Rite of Exile. So, for the active skills, you have Uncontrollable here, which will prevent one instance of CC every 30 seconds. Okay, and then you have Quick-Witted, which reduces the duration of CC against you by 10%, and probably the most important, which is Cheat Death. This will prevent you from being killed one time every 2 minutes, and instead of dying, you are stunned for 3 seconds, and then at the end of that 3 seconds, you restore 60% of your maximum life. Okay. The other active skills are Trapper, which anytime you're below 35 or 30% life, every 5 yards you travel for 6 seconds, you'll lay a trap which will slow any pursuers down. This can be very handy. And then the final active skill is the Rapid Recovery, which reduces the cooldown of Trapper and Uncontrollable from 30 down to 10 seconds. So I don't use the bottom points in that. The way I set mine up to maximize damage, you have 2600 available damage for your Paragon points. That's across all skill trees, the maximum you can get. So, the way I do this is by putting points into the top section of Gladiator until I finish out that damage node and make sure I get Cheat Death, and then I just beeline for all of the damage nodes in each of these other skill trees. Now, there are other trees that do have some desirable skills, such as Mastermind, if you're playing in groups, running dungeons, running whatever, and you have a party comprised of 4 different classes, the damage boosts from Mastermind are pretty handy. So if this is something that you play with and you highly value, you can actually sacrifice a little bit of damage. I would suggest Treasure Hunter because you only get 300 from that, and it will free up 21 extra points. And if you're around the server Paragon, you'll be able to still end up with 2300 total damage, hit the important skills in Gladiator, and activate all of the active skills for Mastermind. So I'm going to walk you through how I set up my Paragon points to get max damage and all the important stuff from Gladiator. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. Grab that. I'm going to throw all those points into life. Grab Quick-Witted because, that's important. And then here we are. The big thing that we want, which is damage. Now, damage is probably the most important stat in Diablo Immortal. Some of you might say, oh, but what about resonance? Well, resonance is only one thing, and that is a modifier that increases the damage and life of all of your gear. So, if you have 2000 resonance, that gives you 100%. That doubles the stats of your primary gear. Now, going through these trees, you'll see that I am having to get many of the active skills as I progress. So you do still have options to use some of the other trees while going strictly for damage. Now, player versus player, there's nothing more important than damage, and player versus environment, the only thing that's more important than damage is your combat rating. Once you've cleared the combat rating for whatever content you're working on, whether it's, a particular Helliquary raid or a particular hell level, damage will be more important once you have cleared that threshold. So, you get all this available damage from your Paragon points, and especially for free-to-play players, you're already not going to be getting big multipliers for all of your gear primary stats. So, being able to maximize what you can get from your Paragon points can make a huge difference. And just taking the shortest route, I now have 18 points left with 2,600 damage, 8,000 life. I get a little bit of resistance in the tune of 140, which, that's always good because that helps shorten the duration of control effects on you. Now, from this point, you can either put points into another stat that you value, such as life. Life is what I'm currently working on after I've maxed out my damage. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out that life node, and then, I'll probably come down here and I'll grab this one when that one's done, and just basically move around the same way I did with damage going for life. And then from life, I'll probably go ahead and do armor penetration, because that helps your damage against people's armor, which the stats in this game can be very confusing. They don't give us good values on how it plays out. It measures against your hell level if you try and read the tooltips. But most important things are definitely damage and life. So I would maximize those first, and gives you a big boost if you're free to play. So don't keep using those Paragon points in weird ways. And remember to activate Gladiator.